Cairo is a city steeped in history. It was first founded and ruled by King Menes of Egypt thousands of years ago. His single-handed motto was to unite Upper and Lower Egypt into a united kingdom and establish ancient Egypt's first dynasty. Since then, Cairo has been home to many historic marvels, such as the Babylon fortress on the Nile, the funerary monuments of Memphis and Saqqara, the Sphinx, and, of course, the Great Pyramids of Giza. So, with so much history and worldwide recognition backing it up, why did the government decide to build an entirely new administrative capital for the country? Well, let's find out. Before we begin, it is important to remember that a nation changing its capital city is nothing new. In fact, the capital city of a country is expected to change every 500 years or so. By that metric, Cairo has been holding its title for a very long time. Over time, a lot of problems have started to emerge. Cairo, with nearly 10 million people, is now overcrowded. By 2050, this number is expected to double, and the already prevailing problems such as overcrowding, pollution, poor allocation of resources, and traffic congestion would only worsen in the future. People who have experienced being stuck in traffic know how frustrating it can be. In Cairo, traffic and congestion are an even bigger issue because the city's administrative buildings are spread out, making it difficult for various ministries to work cohesively. To address this problem, Egypt's president, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, invested in a new administrative capital city, a satellite city, 45 kilometers east of Cairo, currently known as the new administrative capital. The estimated cost of the project is $59 billion, and work began in 2015. The city will cover an area of 270 square miles, almost 4 times the size of Washington, D.C., and will serve as the new financial and administrative capital of Egypt. With a projected population of over 6 million residents, the new capital city will also connect Cairo to the Red Sea, providing new opportunities for trade and commerce. So, with such a hefty price tag, what can we expect from the new capital city? Actually, quite a lot. For starters, as a planned city, it benefits from proper zoning, which its organic predecessor lacks. Most significantly, it has an administrative area containing 30 ministries of the Egyptian government. The scattered ministry buildings will be situated opposite each other in much closer proximity. For better coordination between the ministries, the cabinet building is proposed to be in the center. The largest of these ministries is the Egyptian Ministry of Defense, situated in a circular area called the Octagon, not to be confused with the Pentagon of the U.S., because the Octagon will be even bigger. This will be the headquarters for the Egyptian military, and extending outwards will be residential units for military personnel and their families, as well as facilities like hotels, schools, hospitals, and places of worship, making the district a city within the city. Besides ministries, the city will house embassies, the parliament, government agencies, knowledge hubs, sports centers, an international airport, business hubs, and a stretch of greenery with water features inspired by the Nile in an area called the Green River. It will be twice the size of Central Park in New York. The Green River is only one of the ways the government hopes to make Egypt greener, with the promise of allocating 15 square meters of green space per inhabitant. Another problem that the city will tackle is housing. The new capital city will have 21 residential areas to house its 6.5 million inhabitants. In Egypt, people mostly stay close to the Nile, which is understandable since most of the country is covered by the Sahara Desert, and the Nile is its crucial source of fresh water. However, as mentioned earlier, this puts a strain on resources and causes overcrowding. For this reason, the government has been building cities further out into the desert since the late 70s while keeping in mind the issue of fresh water. A few cities built along such lines include the 10th of Ramadan City, the 6th of October City, Sheikh Zayed City, and El Obur. So Cairo City's idea is not entirely new. When it comes to scale, however, the city has no match. Speaking of houses and scale, the lofty, aptly named Presidential Palace, the most politically powerful place in the country, has caused quite a stir everywhere. The proposed designs show an opulent building with no shortage of grandeur, inspired by the architecture of pharaonic Egypt, to stand tall amidst all the greenery. In fact, much of the city's design takes inspiration from ancient Egypt. One of the proposed future skyscrapers is the Obelisco Capitale, which will resemble an Egyptian obelisk and rise to the height of 1 kilometer. It would be the tallest building in the world upon completion. The Unknown Soldier Monument, overlooking the People's Square, is another such example. While the city's architecture and design take inspiration from its past, the vision for the city is starkly futuristic. The city hopes to be the world's first cashless society, with residents using smart cards for everything, from making payments, unlocking doors, to surfing the web from public Wi-Fi installations in lampposts. Everything would be done via cards. The new administrative capital also has a smart plan for nearly 6,000 security cameras to be used for monitoring the streets and regulating the traffic flow. The city will have its own designated mobile app, which residents will be able to use for accessing local services, reporting complaints, and paying their utility bills. On paper, the new administrative capital sounds like a step towards a utopian future. But the megaproject has its share of critics who make some very valid points. First, who really benefits from the project? Is it the people of Old Cairo or the residents of the new administrative capital? Well, let's see. The company overseeing the city's development is the Administrative Capital for Urban Development. 51% of the company is owned by the Egyptian military, and the remainder is owned by the Ministry of Housing. Coincidentally, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi became president of Egypt after a military coup, which overthrew the country's first democratically elected leader, Mohamed Morsi. You connect the dots. The military is financing and supervising the project and is expected to reap financial benefits from it, as the administrative capital for urban development is responsible for selling housing units in the new capital. Additionally, once the government buildings in Old Cairo are vacated, the ACUD will oversee selling or operating those buildings, which will then occupy prime real estate. The military's profits from the megaproject will likely never be audited either. Critics also wonder who the city is being constructed for. Some apartment units are being sold for exorbitant amounts of money. Well beyond the reach of the average Egyptian citizen, this has led people to believe that the new city, designed as a gated community, will only house Egypt's wealthy elite and ruling class. The $59 billion being spent on the city could have been used to improve Cairo's existing infrastructure and provide better housing for impoverished communities. Many people believe the new capital is merely a pet project for el-Sisi and his allies, and a means for the president to bring Egypt's powerful and affluent business class to his side, further legitimizing his position in the country. After all, Egypt cannot risk another Arab Spring in Tahrir Square if its ruling elite are cordoned off in their own fortified city, far from the ordinary people. Overall, the new administrative capital in Egypt raises many valid concerns, such as the exclusion of the common citizens from the high-priced housing units, environmental degradation, and consolidation of power by the ruling elite. While the city's design takes inspiration from Egypt's rich past, its vision is futuristic and aims to be the world's first cashless society. However, the benefits of this mega-project seem to be skewed towards the government and its supporters, rather than the common people. Instead of investing a vast amount of money in a new city, the government could have improved the existing infrastructure of Cairo and provided better housing for its impoverished communities. As a result, it is essential to consider the long-term impact of such projects on the environment and society before embarking on them. So, what are your thoughts on Egypt's new administrative capital? Does it merit criticism? Or is it going to set the precedents for such cities in the future? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below and subscribe to our channel to learn more about mega projects from around the world.